Hello, writer, and welcome back to my life. It's Writer Wednesday, the day where I give you my tips and advice on the art and the business of writing and tell you how I do what I do as an indie author. Today's question comes from Ryan Starbloke on Patreon, who asked how to identify your ideal reader as a writer. So identifying your ideal customer is one of the most important things that any business can do. And if you're a writer who wants to earn a living at it, you've got to do this. I learned how to identify my ideal reader from the course Autoresponder Madness by Andre Chaperon. I've talked about Autoresponder Madness in the Writer Wednesday videos before. It is amazing. There are so many courses out there for so many different parts of the writing and publishing process, but I really do think that Autoresponder Madness is like the #1 most important course that every single person should do no matter what, and I will drop a link to it in the description below. Obviously, I'm not just going to regurgitate everything that Andre says in the course, but I will tell you that you need to get very, very specific when identifying your ideal reader. In fact, Andre recommends that you don't just list demographics, like woman between the ages of 18-35, Democrat, whatever, none of that. You actually create an identity or an avatar of your ideal reader. In fact, Andre recommends that you create 3 of them, 3 personalities that embody wide swaths of your ideal reader base. And I have a great go-to article about creating reader personas, or I guess any business persona, that should help you out a lot. I will stick a link to that in the description as well. So there's a few things that are the most important things to consider when you are creating your marketing persona. Number 1. What have they gone through? Just like with creating your characters, your persona's background is one of the most important things about them. It leads you to the answers of a lot of the rest of the questions on this list. What sort of background did they have growing up? How were they shaped by their school, their friends, their parents? Were they rich or poor growing up? What significant life events did they have, and how did that shape them? Were they religious or not? Were they raised with certain politics, and did they stick to those politics when they became adults, or did they reject them? Really dig into your ideal reader and what happened to them through their life to turn them into the person that they are now. Number 2. Where do they spend their time? This one's obviously huge, but probably not just in the way you think. Where we spend our time has a lot to do with what we like and what we do. And of course, in today's world, we're not just talking about where you spend your time in real life. Yes, you want to identify their IRL hobbies. Do they go out to the mall? Do they go and see movies? Or do they mostly stay at home? But just as importantly, and probably more importantly to the independent author, where do they spend their time online? What websites do they visit? What social media do they use? Where do they listen to music? Pandora, Spotify? Do they buy their music on iTunes, Amazon? Knowing where they spend time means not only knowing how to reach them, but what type of interactions and conversations they are having with other people on a daily basis. Number 3, what is their source of pain? This is a big one. It might be the most important question on the whole list, and the only reason that it's not last is because you need to answer this one in order to answer the next couple of questions. The most effective marketing always solves a problem. It's kind of sad to say this, but you get much better results promising to fix something negative than to deliver something positive, which is why we have our current president. When I first started writing in Underrealm, all of my marketing promised to deliver a great adventure, to deliver fun, to deliver characters that my readers would love. And my books struggled. That was just not a message that resonated with people. When it turned around and when I started doing really well and became a full-time author was when I started promising instead to fix what was wrong with fantasy. I promised my readers that my books would not be sexist or misogynistic like most fantasy is. I promised them that my books would not be racist like most books by white authors. I promised they would not be super dark and grim, and that I would not kill off my protagonists like Game of Thrones and every other copycat series that has come out since then. Again, this is sad to say, but I did not sell books by saying that my books were uplifting. I sold books by promising that my books would not hurt my reader like those other books did. Number 4, what do they want? So this is where you get back to the positive, which is nice. As I mentioned, this question is largely answered by the previous question. What your ideal reader wants is an answer to their primary source of pain. It sounds a little cliche, but your ideal reader isn't just looking for a book. They are looking for an experience. And of course, you have to figure out what that experience is before you can deliver it. In the whole process of discovering your ideal reader, but particularly in this part, you've got to jockey back and forth between between what your ideal reader wants and what you want to produce. Like, you want to produce a certain type of art, a certain type of writing, a certain type of book, and you should only create something, some book, that you want to create. I cannot stress that enough. Writing something just because it's marketable is a terrible strategy because you will not like what you are doing and you will not be happy. Don't build yourself a career like that, please. And so, with all of the previous steps, you are now much better informed about what kind of person wants the books that you already want to create, and now you're much better informed about how to turn your work into something that they really, really want. Number 5, last question. How do they consume books? After you've figured out all the rest of these questions, you are ready to look at how your ideal reader consumes the books that you want to create. Is your ideal reader an ebook reader? Are they a print book snob? Do they primarily listen to audiobooks instead? Of course, you want to produce your book in all of these formats no matter what. You always want to have ebooks and print books and audiobooks available, but identifying which type of media your reader prefers is going to be very, very important to your marketing efforts. And if you really know your ideal reader at this point, it should be very easy to figure out how they like to consume their content and then, direct all of your marketing towards that. Okay, this is about all I have to say on this topic, although it was quite a lot. Thank you so much to Ryan Starbloke for this question. It was a good one. Put a lot of work into listing all this out and everything, because it's actually been a while since I put together my ideal readers and everything. There's one thing that I think might help out Writer Wednesday people a lot, which is that I took one of my actual reader avatars, the primary one I use, in fact, and I posted it on my Patreon. The post is only available to my $5 patrons, my Writer Wednesday patrons, of course, but it is up there, posted at the same time as this video, so you can go to the Patreon, you can check out the post, and you can see exactly like who that ideal reader is, what that persona is, how much detail I went into. Hopefully that'll help give you sort of an idea of what it looks like. And if you're watching this video after it goes public, remember that in addition to, that profile, which is only available to my patrons, my $5 patrons on Patreon and above get these videos 2 weeks before they are publicly available on the channel, and they also are the ones who get to request what topics I discuss in these videos. So if you want to be one of those people, check out the Patreon at the link in the description below, and maybe consider being a patron. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons for their incredible support, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye!